And every time they revisit that memory, they notice something new, not because the memory changed, because they did. And suddenly they realized something. The moment they needed understanding the most, you gave it. The moment they were confused and pulling away, you stayed. The moment they doubted the connection, you were still trying to protect it. The moment they stopped believing, you were still hoping. And now they're seeing those moments from an entirely different perspective, not as ordinary memories, but as evidence of a love they didn't fully understand while they were living it, evidence of a connection they assumed would always be there. And that's what keeps bringing them back. Not the ending, the things they failed to appreciate before the ending. But Spirit keeps showing me something else. Something they never told you, something they've carried quietly for a very long time. There's something they almost said before everything ended. Something they rehearsed in their mind more than once. Something they wanted to admit, but never did. For some of you, it was an apology. For others, it was a confession. For others, it was simply the truth about how deeply they felt. But every time the moment arrived, they held back. Every time they had the opportunity, fear got in the way. And now Spirit keeps showing me those unspoken words still sitting inside them. Almost as if that conversation never truly ended. Almost as if part of them is still standing in that moment, still wishing they had said what was in their heart. Now here's where things become even more interesting, because lately they've been experiencing signs, unexpected reminders. Dreams. Synchronicity. Moments where your energy appears out of nowhere. And no matter how hard they try to dismiss it, the reminders keep returning. Again. And again. And again. Almost as if life itself is refusing to let them forget. And then Spirit showed me something very specific. And an open message. Now for some of you, this may be symbolic. For others, it may be literal. But Spirit keeps showing me words that have not been spoken. A conversation that almost happened. A message that was written and deleted. Thoughts that were never shared. Feelings that were never expressed. Because this person is beginning to realize that silence has a cost, and the longer they wait, the heavier that silence becomes. This person is afraid, not afraid of rejection, not afraid of vulnerability. They're afraid they've waited too long. Because for the first time, they're beginning to sense that you may have truly moved on, that you've reached a point where your happiness no longer depends on what they do. And that realization is creating something they haven't felt before. Urgency. For years, they believed there would always be another chance. Now they're no longer certain. And Spirit keeps showing me that uncertainty growing stronger every day. Because somewhere deep inside, they know a decision is approaching. And once that decision is made, nothing will ever be the same again. Because what they're beginning to understand now changes everything. And what happens next is something they never expected to face. Now I know some of you are asking, what happens next? And Spirit is smiling because that's exactly where the energy becomes powerful. Because this isn't just about them anymore. This is about you. While they were trying to understand what they lost, you were becoming someone they no longer recognize. And Spirit keeps showing me moments, not years, not months. Moments. A moment when you stop checking your phone. A moment when you stopped looking for signs. A moment when you stopped wondering what they were thinking. A moment when you finally became tired of carrying a connection by yourself. And then another moment. The moment you realized your peace mattered too. The moment you realized your happiness could not depend on another person's choices. The moment you stopped waiting for closure and started creating it yourself. That's the transformation they never saw coming. Because they expected your life to pause where they left it. They expected the story to remain exactly where they abandoned it. But Spirit keeps showing me that while they were looking backward, you were quietly building a future. And that's why the energy feels different now. Not because you've stopped caring, but because you've stopped sacrificing yourself. Now here's where Spirit surprised me. Because Spirit keeps showing me something that hasn't happened yet. A message. Or the idea of a message, words sitting in a draft folder, a conversation rehearsed in someone's mind, something written and deleted, written again, deleted again. Because this person keeps going back and forth, one moment they want to reach out, The next moment they hesitate, one moment they feel confident, the next moment they're overwhelmed by everything left unsaid. And Spirit keeps showing me that this internal battle is becoming harder for them to ignore. Because silence is no longer bringing them peace. Silence is becoming its own burden. And that's why I keep feeling movement around this connection. Not fantasy. Not wishful thinking. Movement. Because something that has remained hidden is trying to come to the surface. Something that has remained unspoken is trying to find a voice. And whether that happens tomorrow, next month, or later down the road. The energy no longer feels stuck. It feels restless. It feels unfinished. It feels like something approaching. But here's the message Spirit wants you to hear above everything else. Do not stop your life waiting for someone else's courage. Do not postpone your happiness waiting for someone else's decision. Because what is meant for you is already making its way toward you. And if this person returns, they will not be returning to the version of you they once knew. That version is gone. The version who questioned themselves. Gone. The version who waited endlessly. Gone. The version who carried the entire weight of the connection alone. Gone. And that's the part they never expected. They thought they lost you. What they never expected was that the person they lost would become someone entirely new, someone stronger, someone wiser, someone who finally understands their own value. Someone who no longer needs another person's recognition to know their worth. And my beautiful friend, that is why Spirit keeps showing me something beautiful ahead. Not because of who returns, not because of who regrets the past, but because of who you have become. A future built on self-respect, a future built on emotional freedom, a future built on peace. And no matter what happens next, that future already belongs to you.